Welcome back to that rugby podcast with your boy Luke and Husey. Look, back again for another week, Super Rugby. Again, another very, very good week of Super Rugby, another very fascinating week of Super Rugby where all teams put their hands up. I'm going to start first, and I'm going to start with an apology to the greater good of Super Rugby because
Yeah.
my Hurricanes fucked it. There's no two ways about it. I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning to watch them. They had enough opportunities to beat a Blues side that is down on confidence and down on ability at the moment, and we blew it. There's no two ways about it. We should have beaten them. We didn't. I want to say sorry from a Hurricanes fan to everyone else out there for our inability to keep the Blues where they belong down the bottom of the table.
You guys need a new stadium or something, man. That Cake Tin is not good luck for all sorts of different games and things. Bennett, get a new stadium. I reckon that's the root cause of the issue.
Yeah, it's an ugly looking stadium as well. Like, I don't know if you didn't see the game, which I saw. You can just tell that there's not when it's not full, and it wasn't full that day. But I will talk about the game quickly. Now, there's been a lot of chatter about Angus Gardner and his refereeing performance. I don't think it was that bad, and everyone's complaining about the number of cards, but all cards were justified. Like, I tend to think when I sat there and watched that game that there's some really dumb moments by the Hurricanes, and I'll tell you the dumbest moment. So there's the joke going around where Xavier Numia gets yellow carded and Pori Rakati Stones gets yellow carded straight after. What happens is Xavier Numia gets yellow carded for multiple penalties building up, deservedly so, gets yellow carded. They then bring on the reserve prop. Now, our scrums struggled to be stable this game. I'm not saying we got beaten, but we were struggling to stay stable. We decided to remove Brad Shields, a forward, for Pori Rakati Stones to come on, to go an 8-man against a 7-man scrum, 5-man out, when our scrum hadn't been stable to start with. I mean, you've got Renata and Tonga Fussy, two very capable props. What do you think's going to happen? They fucking walk us over and we get the second yellow card. I sat there and I was like, you can't blame Angus Gardner for a dumb coaching decision. Like, we can sit there and do that all the time, but both those yellow cards were justified. The yellow card then red to Hoskins Tutu was justified. Do I think there was too many penalties? Yes, but I also think as much as that's on Angus Gardner, that's on the teams. Like, the teams are the ones giving away the penalties. Like, we can't sit here and just go, yeah, Gardner was the problem when the game was messy.
I'm gonna interject here as well with a Waratahs anecdote because of course I will. But I found that it's strange in the Waratahs game as well. We got a yellow card, so Waratahs were down a player near our goal line, and we went short-handed on the scrum and got completely run over there. And I just couldn't understand why it would do that. And it was our feed into the scrum as well because we got the card. They booted down for penalty, then they knocked it on. So it was a scrum on our own goal line. And instead of going a full scrum, like, I don't understand why you wouldn't do a full scrum there because you're just going to boot it out of your goal line anyway. And then we got run over. They got a penalty. We wasted time there. I don't think they scored directly off of that, but they scored not too long after. I just couldn't understand that. I don't understand that logic, especially if you're the one that's feeding the ball into the scrum.
Or not even, and if it's a defensive one, look, if they score out wide. But to put your new prop fresh into the game under that much pressure, I just sat there and was like, it's stupidity. Like, I as soon as he came on and I saw Brad Shields coming off, I was like, 8 against 7, like, scrums these days, that will fold the team. Like, we know that's the case.
Forwards are just in general way more important than backs. So it's just like, why would you get rid of, that's why you have 8 forwards and 7 backs,
But exactly, but again, they drive over and score. At least if you've got one back down, you've got to force them to pass the ball wide. A mistake can happen from that. From the scrum, it's like they just had to muscle up one time, and it was near on impossible for anyone to do anything different there. So I sat there and I went, look, the criticism to Gardner should fall on the players, and the players not actually respecting a lot of the rules. A lot of easy penalties given away by the Hurricanes. I don't know if they were a bit too amped up for the game. The Blues. All right, here we go. The Blues need to understand what the All Blacks should understand in New Zealand rugby, and everyone in New Zealand should understand. Beauden Barrett is a really good number 10. Like, one of the best in the world, number 10s. He's a good fullback. But I think I would rather have one of the world best number 10s than a good fullback. Put him at 10. Like, as soon that changed the game is we saw the past and the former Beauden Barrett, because Harry Godfrey, who everyone's comparing and saying he looks like, plays very much like Bowden Barrett. When he was in at 10 for us, we were killing the game. We had our fullback go get an HIA at half time, have to go off injured, and he moved to fullback. Basically, the similar time, Bowden Barrett moved to fly half, and the game changed. And I went, that Tim's position is so important that I just can't believe. And I know everyone's like, oh, Harry Plummer had a great year last year. He did. He's leaving next year. He's not going to be in the All Black setup. So play Bowden Barrett at 10. Just do it. Like, Razor should be on the phone and going, play Bowden Barrett at 10. This isn't a DMAC situation. This isn't that situation where you can go, DMAC is world class at 15. We're unsure about the 10, but we know at Super Rugby he can deliver at 10. This is Bowden Barrett is world class at 10. He's good at 15.
Let's move on now to some more of the games. So, as you said earlier, another weekend of tight games. The biggest scoreline differential was 15 points, and even that was a bit artificially inflated. But to take you through results quickly, Moana Pacifica 29, Highlanders 31, Waratahs 29, Fijian Drua 24, Chiefs 49, Brumbies 34, Western Force 24, Queensland Reds 28. So let's go to the Waratahs game because let's talk about that. Let's get the most important game of the round through here. So specifically, the stat I want to call out is 2-0, which is the Waratahs record. And the last time they were 2-0, Luke, what year do you think the last time they were 2-0 was?
Maybe 2014.
It was 2014, my friend. It was 2014. So everyone strap in or strap on because Waratahs are coming, baby. What I liked from the Waratahs this game was the how do I say this? The roll of the dice was going against them in some of these refereeing decisions. Not necessarily that they were wrong decisions, but just that they were judgment calls that the judgment seemed to go the Drew's way, and a couple of them. And in prior years, especially last year, the Waratahs of old would have crumbled, given up, not fought out to the end of the game. There's one where the Waratahs got a penalty for a high contact coming down off of a kick on a Drua player. The exact same thing happened to Andrew Kellaway, and then Kellaway had to go off for a HIA, and there was no penalty on the Drua. That's one of several examples in there. Just those sort of questionable judgment calls. But the Waratahs didn't fold. They didn't give up. They continued fighting. After conceding the first try, they were in their fight. They were missing Joseph Suali'i as well, a key player for the new setup. The marquee player in Australian rugby right now. They showed this is why we have Andrew Kellaway here as well, the flexibility to cover fullback. That's why you got Max Jorgensen in the lineup can cover fullback. I thought overall the forwards performed relatively well. Second row continues to be an area of weakness for the Waratahs. It's by far their weakest position. Langy Gleeson had a hell of a game. He had one of those games which reminds you, like, okay, yeah, this is why this guy, keeps getting selected in the Waratahs and is in the Wallabies talks and things like that. When he can keep his hands on the ball, he could be a game changer. He is an absolute hammer running the ball, similar to Bobby V. We saw that off the first try of the Waratahs. Angus Bell, Taniela Tupou continued to have good games. I am falling in love with Siosifa Amone. All right, the interchange prop, big wrecking ball of a player. Looks like a slightly smaller Taniela Tupou, still a absolute monster of a human, but just plays with this energy and enthusiasm that is infectious. It looks like to the rest of the forwards around him. What we saw in prior years is that when the front row interchange happened for the Waratahs, everything fell apart, right? Because they were just injured. We just didn't have the quality players to step into place. This year, interchange comes on; those energy levels stay there, or a slight step down because it's hard to replicate Angus Bell and Taniela Tupou, right? It just is. But when you've got Isaiah Kalia, a Wallabies level prop on your bench, and then on the other side of the scrum, you've got Sifa Amone, and then in the middle, you've got Vailanu, one of my favorite players because he's short. It's a great front row replacement the Waratahs have. The other player I was impressed with, which I've got to call out, I've got to get his name right, is I believe it's Henry O'Donnell, the
centre.
outside centre who came in
Yeah.
for it is Henry O'Donnell who came in for in the centres because of injuries and reshuffles and things like that. Um, great great outing I think for his Waratahs debut. Um, really great stuff. Fit into that role very well. He had an incredible crunching tackle, which on the Fijian Drua is hard to do. Like, legitimately, every single one of their players looked like they could play in the forward pack. And I thought he especially deserved a call out for his performance. Yeah, did you get a chance to see the game, Luke? Did you see the highlights?
I rewatched the replay. I think Waratahs will still be disappointed just because they haven't. I don't think they put a full performance together.
Mm.
You know, like this Waratahs. That's what scares me a little bit. Like as you said, they are 2-0. They knocked over a team that is looking really good in the Highlanders, and they haven't, to me, put a full performance together. Again, yeah, and I actually picked what's his name? O'Donnell.
O'Donnell.
O'Donnell in my fantasy team because I watched a highlight reel beforehand of his under 20s performances and I was like, I want to take a punt on this kid. But yeah, I think Drew again. That was, we talked about it. It's hard to travel, play a game in Fiji, then New Zealand, then in Australia. They've got the hardest schedule of anyone, and that's now 3 below 5 point losses for them. So I think they'll be gutted.
All of them have 4 points, 4 points, and 5 points. Like that's brutal. A try differential in each game, basically.
But again, they're competitive, and that's all you need to be. It's one of those games. Now we know that the Drua are this competitive. It's those games that you have to win if you want to be a top side like the Waratahs. Looking at them, if you want to be in the top 5, they will need to be beating those teams, if you know what I mean, from the Waratahs. A big thing for me, I guess, Chiefs, to me, I know that it was a closer game than expected against the Brumbies, and again, as we we thought they were going to wipe the floor with them, but they still won, and they still won by 15 points in the end, and to me, they're so far ahead. I guess the question is, who's next? Now, you look at someone like the Reds, they're 2-0 as well, you guys are 2-0, but the Reds, wins over Moana Pacifica, we get to win a game, and now the Force in Western Force, again, close game, tight game, 80th minute winner. You look at your Waratahs, you've been in the Drua and the Highlanders. Highlanders are a fairy tale team, in my opinion. Again, everyone will be supporting their success, but can they do this the whole season? Questions will be asked. I kind of look around and I go, look, the Blues are shabby, the Hurricanes are shabby. Who is going to take that reign of we can compete with the Chiefs? Because at the moment, I'm not seeing anyone.
It's definitely a case of the tier one. There's one tier one team in the competition, that's the Chiefs, and then there's there's the Kings, which is the Chiefs at the moment, and then there's claimants for the crown. There is the people that want to be next in line for the throne, that are scrabbling for it, and it is a big mix up. It's tough to tell because even the Brumbies, like, they're missing pieces and were still competitive against the Chiefs. At the Chiefs, and a silly late try conceded to the Chiefs that really shouldn't have been considered. Just a really poor pass and an option taken on their own goal line there in the fading minutes of the game. With I think 5 or 7 minutes left to go, it was a 6 point game, right? So a 5 point game, and then a penalty pushed it out to 8 points, and then you had to try. So the Brumbies had chances in this game. They had a chance to actually compete and win, and I'm sure they'll be bitterly disappointed by that, especially given the result of the prior week against the Force, where again late in the game they broke down and just couldn't close it out. You look at the Waratahs, the comments you made earlier. I agree with the Waratahs. They've got the potential to compete, but they haven't put it together yet. They haven't put together a truly dominant performance to show that we can play, we can hang with the big boys. You've got then, as you said, the Highlanders. Look, maybe it's them. Maybe they have what it takes. Maybe they've grown enough over the 2 weeks since their week 1 loss to show that. The Reds, again, who knows? There's still some question marks. There's still some sloppiness in there that is just a little bit like I watched that Western Force and Reds game, and that was a great game. But what I saw from both teams there were too many mistakes. were too many shots in the foot and that killed some of that free flowing style of rugby that you need to compete against the Chiefs, to get your counter attack in, to get your own just regular attack going. I saw way too many handling errors, and that has been the bane of Australian rugby for years, is handling errors, and New Zealand teams making us pay for them. So look, then there's your Hurricanes. I mean, you had a chance this week, I feel like, to really put your stamp down, and say, we're back, baby. Like, here we are. We're ready to compete against the Chiefs. And you fell short of that. And yeah, look, it's a lot. The competition is great at the moment, right? Because every single team looks like they can compete with each other, except for the Chiefs, who look like they're better than everyone else, right? But it's like we have an 11-team competition where 10 teams are as good, as seemingly as good as each other.
100%, totally. And again, as we just saw, Moana Pacifica currently 11th without anyone's just a 1 or 2 point loss to the Highlanders and an opportunity to beat them. So it's going to be one of those seasons where, again, I think someone will beat the Chiefs. I don't think the Chiefs go undefeated, but we are at that point where the Chiefs are looking like the best team, and rightfully so. Six Nations. Look, there's only one important game on this week. Ireland versus France will decide titles, and it may not decide it by the actual results, but if France beat Ireland, there's a chance of 3 teams to win, potentially, the Six Nations. If Ireland win, it's pretty much wrapped up before we head into the final week. So looking into that game, how do you see it going? Ireland are hosting, France have to go away to win it. They've got a very good squad, but can they do it? Husey, what are your thoughts?
No. If they couldn't do it against England, I don't think they can do it against Ireland. It might sound a bit rock paper scissorish, a bit basic, but I mean that's the bare facts of it, right? Look, putting 73 on Italy is one thing, but going to Ireland, and to be fair to them, they did do that in Italy. They didn't do it at home, which we know is their favourite place to play. Exceptional record there. They're going to Ireland. They're having to face hordes of Guinness-soaked Irishmen in the stands, right? They fell short in Twickenham, right? I don't think they can pull it off in Ireland. Ireland, I think, are just too good. But at the same time, they do have Antoine Dupont in the team, and anything can happen when that man is on the rugby field. So I expect Ireland to win. I would not be surprised if France won, though. I'll put it that way. Like it is very much the potential for an upset here. I don't think it is by any means a foregone conclusion. However, smart money is Ireland in this one.
Totally, and I look at it and I agree totally with what you just said. You'd be stupid to not bet on Ireland, but I am, in fact, that I am stupid because I honestly believe Antoine Dupont's going to get into that changing room, and I don't know how they fire each other up in French, maybe with some sweet words, but I can imagine he's going to scream at them in some form of French and get them fizzed up because he knows a little bit of his legacy is on the line here. How they perform, how they win, if they win, can define his legacy. If they can go to Ireland and stop this Irish juggernaut, he is vaulting himself into even more conversations because this Irish juggernaut has been so good for so long now. Again, if France can go there and stop them, they don't have to win the Six Nation Championship, but if they stop a Grand Slam, you can look back and go, oh, look, they did this. And again, if it comes down to bonus points, it comes down to the English game, it does. I think from what I've seen so far, I think the French have actually looked better. They had that miserable game against England where they just dropped everything. If they can get it right, I think they beat Ireland, and I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair, which I don't think Ireland like. Ireland aren't as attackingly threatening as the French, from what I've seen. Again, I saw the game against Wales, and I think the Irish love an arm wrestle. They like to arm wrestle. They like to beat you down that way and then run away with it in the last 20 minutes. I don't think the French are going to let them do that to them. And I think this French team is built to score points. So I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. I don't think Ireland can stay in it long enough. And I don't think the Guinness-soaked Irish fans who are already complaining about how expensive all tickets are and how snobby the situation is there are going to be up enough for it because they've spent 400 quid on a ticket and they can't buy any Guinness. So I just think the French go over there, go à la bleu, and they go in and fucking take one. And then we have a really decisive final week with bonus points and points differential. I don't even know how it works. But yeah, I think it comes down to that because the other few games, as much as I've said it's just Ireland and France, there are other games going on.
Look, if England, so the state of play is this, right? Ireland's on 14 points, France 11, England 10. If Ireland win, uh, that's it, pretty much game over. I think it's near impossible for anyone to catch them. I think if they, no, I mean it's still technically possible if England, um,
Double bonus point or
double
something like
bonus
that.
point and Ireland lose without a bonus point in the final week. But if France win with a bonus point, they're on 15. They're top of the table. If they win with no bonus point, uh, they are top of the table as well, assuming Ireland don't get a bonus point. And then I think even still they're top of the table because of points differential. Uh, England, realistically, England need to win with a bonus point and hope that France uh, just win and don't get a bonus point, and Ireland also doesn't get a bonus point, and then hope that Scotland beats France. That like it's a tricky path for the English to get through. Ireland just need to win. They just need to win, and they're pretty much smooth sailing because they're playing Italy next week. Um, then the other game in the round is Scotland hosting Wales. Look, that should be well. Look, we thought it would. We say it should be pretty one-sided, but then again, the last 2 weeks, Wales has really sort of picked up in intensity, particularly against Ireland. Um, I still think though Scotland's just far outclasses Wales.
They do, yeah. I agree. And I look at it and I go, yeah, look, it's going to be hard. France win this game. They probably take the Six Nations crown home because of points differential, because of that big win over Wales and that big win over Italy. Because then the next tiebreaker is most tries. So they scored a shitload of tries in that win over Italy. So
Yeah.
it's going to be hard for if Ireland lose this, it's going to be hard for them to recapture unless they beat Italy by 100 points.
Yeah.
And the same for England, as you said. Like England need to absolutely roll someone by 100 points.
They
and I
would be
don't see that happening.
Ireland would also be relying a on the France Scotland scoreline not being cute, or France not getting a bonus point from
Exactly.
that game. There's potential there as well.
Yeah, say what happens is France get one bonus point. France win this game, so they end up on 15. Ireland get a bonus point. So it's 15-15 going into that final game. It could come down to who can get bonus points. So tries will be coming if France do get the win for that final round. So look, Six Nations as a company and as a business probably wants a French win right now because shit, that sets up an exciting round of final play because you got three teams just trying to score a shitload amount of points. But again, France have got all the work to do. Ireland can wrap it up now and just shut me up and shut everyone else up. So it's looking that way, but you never know. You never know with rugby. It's one of those sports that can always change the bounce of the ball. Final thing for today, Super Rugby kickoff. As you would have probably been aware, the NRL had their kickoff in Vegas, where the Warriors played the Raiders and Panthers played the Sharks. But could Super Rugby do something similar in the US?
I'd also just like to
in our
point out
country?
that I'd also like to point out that the Gillaroos absolutely demolished England 90 points to
Yeah,
6.
well, that
There,
was
we can't miss any opportunity to hammer home an English defeat. You know,
there's a rumor though that you were too scared to challenge the Kiwi girls over in the USA, flying around, and that's why you took on the easy.
Oh, look,
Ashes series.
I don't know, I don't know about that from Australian perspective. It wouldn't surprise me if Peter Volandis did a move like that because he is a bit of a sleaze. So it wouldn't surprise me that he would want to pull something like that. I feel like Australia versus New Zealand would have been a much better option than against England there. Like the Gillaroos looked bloody good, right? And you could just tell the difference between paid professionals. It's the same with union women. So you could tell the difference between the paid professionals and the part-time players, right? It's the same thing there. yeah, if they could do the women's game again, it should be Australia versus New Zealand. I don't know why it wasn't. That being said, I will never ever be unhappy with an opportunity to wipe the floor with England. But yes, look, the NRL kickoff in Vegas, a great event, particularly the marquee event, the Panthers versus the Sharks. Great game there. We also had a Super League game at the start, Wigan versus was it Wolverhampton? Oh, Warrington Wolves.
Yeah.
I knew it was Wolves something. Yeah, Warrington Wolves. A good showing there. Lots of English fans in the crowd. Definitely boosted the crowd numbers. So that was great showing for the NRL. Could Super Rugby do something like that? Yes. And you need to capitalize off Ilona Maher. Currently, I believe still the most followed player in all of rugby union, and probably rugby league as well, over in England playing for the Bristol Bears at the moment, but I believe their season's finished. Definitely could do something like that, 100%. Ilona Maher Ilona Maher is currently, and think about this. Ilona Maher is currently the most popular player in world rugby, right? A female American is currently basically the face of rugby to most people on social media, right? So you leverage that with your other faces of the game from Super Rugby, right? You can get your thinking about popular fan bases over there. I would say Moana Pacifica would be one of the teams over there because you'd have a lot of Samoan and Tongan fans in the USA ready there to cheer on Moana Pacifica, right? And then you get an Aussie team, you get a Kiwi team, and then maybe you do Moana Pacifica versus the second place team from the previous Super Rugby season, and then you do some other some marquee show match. And I believe your suggestion was the URC champion versus the Super Rugby champion. So maybe that's the big kickoff. Maybe that's the big event is that you do the Super Rugby champion versus the URC champ as your second game, and your first game is the Super Rugby runner-up versus Moana Pacifica or something like that.
Yeah, I put that down there, and I had a thought that the seasons don't really align too well. But I still think you could do something like exactly as you said, as we did with the URC or the Super League, the URC game. Say you had again, their season's still running, so our season could kick off at the same time. So if we do this kickoff, we have a game that is, let's say, the Stormers versus Leinster. Let's say this is in Chicago because the New Zealand, the All Blacks and the Irish have a foothold in Chicago.
Yeah.
Because we play there all the time. Say you have this as one of the games as well. You chuck onto, again, a three-game schedule. You've got a pretty good schedule building out now. And I go, that works really well with the kickoff situation, just as the NRL did. Works really well with how we can propose the game. And as you said, those English fans, the Irish fans will go to watch Chicago.
Yeah.
To
100%.
see a Super Rugby game. You'll get South African fans, which you need in rugby as much as they like to belittle you on social media. We need them. So I go, all of this points to a really good opportunity. And I think as we've seen, and I don't know if you've seen this got announced, South Africa and Argentina are playing one of their rugby championship games at Twickenham this year. So I don't know whose home game. I'm going to assume it's South Africa's because I saw a South African post, and I would assume Argentina would like to host the game. But that's how big South Africa are pushing, or the Springboks specifically as well, is this northern expansion. And they've got a lot of expats over here in London. Like they will sell that game out in a heartbeat in London.
Yeah.
So again, does it take away from the Springboks playing in South Africa? Yes, but it's growing the game and it's getting a new audience of, again, if you're an Englishman and you want to watch a Springboks game, it gives you that opportunity to grow the rugby championship. So I love it. I think it's a great idea, and I think this is another good step as well. As you've said, let's have a URC game as one of the games and two Super Rugby games. Chuck in a Moana Pacifica there to chuck that about. And yeah, I just think it would work really, really well after what the NRL have done to kick off our season like that.
I agree. I mean, take a punt. Why not? Like it's expensive, but hey, go for it. It is going to be the Argentina home game. Because the South African Argentina game has already been confirmed for Durban.
All right. Well, I assume that South Africa had their hands all over that to push Argentina to do it, and I imagine there would have been a fee paid to probably Argentina to get that across there, because it will basically be a Springbok home game in London.
Yeah.
I might sort out some tickets for me and some of the lads so that we can go in an Argentinian jersey and roll up some Springbok fans.
100%.
Yeah. I won't say that if I am going. I won't be saying that live on this podcast because I also don't want to get attacked. But that will do us for today. Look, a big week of Super Rugby ahead again. We're in a really great patch of Super Rugby.
Yeah.
Six Nations coming to a head, and just some ideas that we had for what we can do better still in Super Rugby and improve the product that we've got, because we've got a fantastic product. Again, we just have some ideas that might be able to help, but we'd love to hear everyone else's opinions. But for now, thank you. I've been Luke. That has been Husey. We'll see you later. Goodbye.
Peace.